Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most universal, deeply human questions out there. We're taking a highly structured, almost clinical look at the realities of romantic relationships. Licensed marriage and family therapist Figs O'Sullivan has spent over 16 years sitting across from couples, and he has completely decoded how we actually experience love. So let's break down exactly what he's found. Picture this, it's 2 a.m., you're lying awake, staring at the ceiling, and this question just will not leave your brain alone. How do you know if you really, truly love the person you're with? Not whether you just like them or if you're physically attracted to them, but if this is the real deal. Maybe you've been dating for 8 months and you're feeling weirdly uncertain, or hey, maybe you've been married for a decade and you're terrified that what you're feeling right now is just habit rather than a genuine connection. If you've ever felt this kind of anxiety, I want to validate that for you right now. It is incredibly common. But the reason we struggle so much to answer this late night dilemma is because we're usually looking in the completely wrong place. So here's the crucial point. Your mind will lie to you about love. Your body almost never does. Society, pop culture, movies, they've all sold us a complete myth. We're taught to try and think our way into love, to analyze our feelings, to look for this perfect fairy tale narrative in our heads. But the real answer to whether you love someone, it doesn't live in your thoughts at all. It lives entirely in your physiology, your behavioral patterns, and the undeniable evidence trail that your relationship leaves behind. To really understand this, we have to look at what love actually is, and probably more importantly, what it absolutely isn't. Okay, let's dive into this. Most of us completely conflate love with a feeling. You know, that electric surge in your chest, the butterflies, the obsessive thinking. But that intense consuming experience actually has a medical name. It's called limerence, and it is literally a neurochemical cocktail. It's this massive flood of dopamine and norepinephrine combined with a drop in serotonin that essentially puts you into a state remarkably similar to obsessive compulsive disorder. When you're anxiously scanning your phone for their text and your brain lights up like a pinball machine when they finally reply. Well, that is not love. That's just your brain on drugs. It manufactured itself. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. Limerence is all about intrusive thinking, idealizing your partner, reciprocation anxiety, and intense physical activation. Having a racing heart and sweaty palms isn't romance. It's actually your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response going into complete overdrive. Genuine biological love, or what O'Sullivan calls sound love, is entirely different. It's rooted deep in human survival and attachment. It looks like calm presence, steady attention, and actually seeing your partner's flaws realistically. Most importantly, it involves nervous system regulation. When you're stressed, their presence actually brings your cortisol levels down. It's physiological co regulation, not a chemical panic. But here's the terrifying reality for most couples. Limerence is designed by our biology as a recruitment mechanism. It's supposed to get us bonded quickly, but it burns incredibly hot and it has a very strict expiration date. Somewhere between 12 and 36 months, that neurochemical high starts fading. And right around that 18-month mark, couples usually hit a transition crisis. That desperate burning urge to see your partner vanishes, the obsession quiets down, and suddenly people end up in therapy offices saying things like, I don't think I love them anymore. I really want to normalize this terrifying drop off right now. The fading of limerence is not the death of love. It's actually the exact moment the fog clears and the real building begins, which brings us to a massive realization about how we evaluate our relationships once that limerence is gone. I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Think about it like this: you can analyze a mango's texture and origin for an hour. You can read about it, study its nutritional content, compare it to all these other fruits, but that is definitely not the same thing as actually tasting the mango. Love works the exact same way.
You cannot intellectualize your relationship to find the truth. The mind is a terrible instrument for measuring love because it's just going to rationalize things and serve your own anxiety. The truth lives in the tasting, it lives right there in your nervous system. So instead of asking your mind, we are going to ask your body. I want you to actually do this with me right now. Sit quietly for a second and picture your partner, but not the fantasy version of them. Picture the real person with their morning breath and their slightly annoying habits. Now just scan your body. Does your chest open up or does it tighten? Is your breathing deep or shallow? Do your shoulders drop or are they creeping up to your ears? If you feel opening, deepening, and warmth, your ventral vagal system, which is your body safety network, is signaling connection. It's telling you, hey, this person is home. But if you feel tightening, queasiness, or constriction, that's your sympathetic nervous system activating, signaling fear or some kind of unresolved threat. Now, once we understand the body's baseline, we have to transition over and look at how the relationship behaves under pressure. Because look, in calm weather, everyone looks securely attached. When there's no conflict and nobody's attachment system is threatened, every couple is affectionate and kind, but calm weather is a totally incomplete picture. The absolute truth of your bond is only revealed in the storm. What actually happens when you have a brutal argument, when life gets really hard, when resources are depleted or a huge mistake is made, genuine love fights for connection inside that pain. If it's just habit or convenience, the storm is going to reveal you either checking out entirely or picking fights just to create distance. Let's move to how this builds over time. Because love is an active, ongoing process. It actually generates a tangible evidence trail. We can run what's basically a proof of work audit. Number one, do you repair after a fight? Reaching back toward them because you just can't stand. The disconnection is the single most reliable indicator of love. Number two, do you willingly sacrifice without building up resentment? Number three, do you stay genuinely curious about who they are as a person? Number four, can you tolerate their autonomy without going into attachment panic? And number five, do you literally wake up in the morning when your brain chemistry is completely reset and feel glad they're there? Listen, if someone just says, I love you, it is basically meaningless without this actual proof of work. I want to pause here for just a second. Figuring out love requires absolutely ruthless honesty because, clinically speaking, there are three very specific psychological patterns that frequently disguise themselves as love, and we really need to watch out for them. Here are love's most common imposters. First up is attachment panic. This feels intensely like love, but it's actually fueled by a visceral fear of loss. The diagnostic difference here: love moves toward a person to connect. Attachment panic moves to control a situation so they don't leave you. Second is familiar pain. If you grew up with emotionally unavailable parents, you might subconsciously seek out that exact same intermittent reinforcement. It feels super urgent, but it's really just your attachment system trying to complete an old painful story. And third is shared infrastructure, the mortgage, the kids, the shared social circles. It feels incredibly overwhelming to dismantle all of that, so you just call it love to keep going. But it's really just pragmatism wearing love's clothes. If you manage to clear away those imposters, what you are ultimately left aiming for is a beautiful concept called the sovereign us. Real love isn't some corporate merger where you lose your individual identity. It's a partnership of two whole people choosing each other from a position of completeness rather than a position of need.
The ultimate test here is what we call earned security. Can you be fully, completely yourself with all your unedited flaws, needs, and wild opinions and still choose them and be chosen by them? It's the beautiful, sometimes excruciating rhythm of rupturing, repairing, and being safely met by another human being while you are at your absolute most vulnerable. So let's tie all of this clinical insight together into a framework that you can apply to your own life right now. Step 1, separate the signal from the noise. Stop overthinking it and check your physiology. Does your body settle when you're with them? Step 2, look at the evidence. Run that proof of work audit we talked about. Step 3, test it in the storm. Use the data from your hardest conflicts, not just the easy days. Step 4, check for imposters. Be brave enough to admit if it's just attachment panic or shared infrastructure holding you together. And step 5, ask the hardest question. If there were absolutely no logistical complications and no fear of being alone, would you genuinely, deeply still choose this specific person? Now, sometimes you're in a transitional space and you just don't have a clean yes or no answer yet. And you know what? That is completely okay. But what 16 years of couples therapy really reveals is that love is not some passive feeling you just sit around waiting to receive. It is a continuous daily choice. The question is never really, do I love them? The real question is, are you willing to do the work that love requires? If you're willing to show up, be vulnerable, repair the bond when it breaks, and keep choosing them even when the honeymoon fog clears, well, then you already know the answer. Trust your body because it has been telling you the truth all along. So what is your body telling you today? If you want to work on this for real, try Figlet, my AI relationship coaching app. You can start for free, no credit card needed, at figlet.empathy.com.